everybody, this top 10 is part 2 of the mini-series Ranking the Heroes of Overwatch. If you haven't seen part 1, click the video on the screen. I'd also recommend checking out my response to that video clarifying where I stand on ranking the heroes of Overwatch. To quickly give context, these rankings are from a first impression view and are 100% my singular opinion. But if you've seen all that, what are you waiting for?
Let's go!
Cracking into the top 10, we've got Torbjorn. When it comes to actual defense, there's not a whole lot better. In this category, I think there's few tools better than his turrets. Sure, they aren't much more than an annoyance at first, but if you can get them built up to rank 2 or the epic rank 3 with your ultimate, your foes are in for a world of hurt. If you use strategic placement when defending, these can make an offensive push a million times harder. Add in the fact these turrets are automated, allowing you to perform other actions makes this an amazing ability. Torbjorn also functions as a minor support, being able to use the scrap picked up from fallen foes to create armor for your team. He can keep his turrets repaired with his hammer and still has a few modest powered weapons to keep your opponents at bay. Torbjorn's only real flaw is that he isn't as useful in offensive situations. For the same reason Symmetra's sentries suffer, Torbjorn's turrets just aren't as useful when you have to make a push into enemy territory. That and a personal grievance against the entertainment gotten from allowing your tools to do most of the work for you places Torbjorn here. At this point, we're really getting down to the small details that separate the remaining heroes. My knock on Zarya is similar to Zenyatta in that she can be very tough to manage effectively. Her abilities include a momentary shield for herself and her allies. The catch is that any damage blocked by these barriers amplifies the damage of your weapons. So while they're weak at first, if timed properly you can turn from a tank into a mighty offensive force, especially when you're including her Gravitron Surge to collect enemies in one spot. But this balance can be challenging to achieve. Coordinating a shield for yourself, shields for your partners in need, and attacking aggressively was a pain to manage for me and took some of the fun out of it. Unlike Zenyatta, however, I think that if you have the skill to put the pieces of her kit together effectively, she might actually be one of the best heroes in the game, and certainly the best tank. In all my time playing though, I maybe only saw 1 or 2 good Zaryas, so I think the skill ceiling for her is pretty high. I'd say the players who have the perseverance to practice and get good with Zarya will end up as top tier tanks in the coming weeks though, so best of luck to those of you up to the challenge. Pharah is one of the most mobile heroes in the game, but unlike her ninja counterpart, she's quite easy to control. Simply press the specified key and use the jump jet to fly rapidly upward. Then you just hold another key to stay afloat with a decent pool of fuel. Managing this properly with rooftops can make it so you rarely touch the ground. And rather than making things difficult by giving her some kind of automatic weapon, you get a rocket launcher with explosive splash damage. She even has a defensive move to push foes off a critical location with the concussive blast. One of my biggest compliments though is just how fun it feels to whirl around through the air and hassle the opposing team with your explosives. Which is a good time to mention the barrage. Her ultimate is a blast to use, literally. Just take care to use it in tighter spots, because I thought it was about to save the day over here and I ended up killing nobody but myself. My only real gripe with her is that a lot of her kit is focused around maneuverability, and her actual damage capabilities feel slightly limited when compared with their offensive peers. But this is only a minor complaint. We really are getting into the territory with nearly flawless heroes. This was actually the first hero I started with. I didn't play the alphas or betas, so this was my first experience playing Overwatch. I did start my first game against NPCs and dominated, but I was surprised to see that the domination continued when I took it to PvP. That's because outside of ultimates, I don't think there's a higher damage tool in the entire game than Bastion's Sentry Mode. You can even annihilate the tankiest heroes in a matter of seconds with this dominant minigun. The balance for this is that you must be stationary, but hey, he's a defensive hero, so he's best used when he's defending a point. The ability does suffer a little bit in offensive situations, but with clever placement and minor distractions, it can still be used very effectively. His recon auto weapon is underwhelming in comparison, mostly because of the small clip size, but it's more than enough for spot offense between uses of the Sentry Mode. Bastion's ultimate turns you into a mobile death tank that can be used to perfection in a defensive stand or offensive push, and then there's the fact that he can heal himself to an unlimited degree. I mean, what? This bot is basically his own support, defensive, and offensive hero all packed into one. The only thing he can't do is tank, but why would you need to when most enemies who come in your line of sight will be dead before they know it? This guy feels like he's intended to be the average hero, the accessible one that everyone starts out with to get the hang of the game. I'd say this is true since Blizzard chose him as the tutorial character. The truth is, the soldier is anything but average. First, he's got the ability to sprint as much as desired. In a game where only some of the heroes have traversal abilities and most require a cooldown, this is great for getting to a critical area or disorienting an opponent's aim. Then there's the Biotic Field, another character with a support ability of his own, and not only can this area of effect ability heal himself over time, but also your allies. To compensate for this strong ability, his rifle fire does seem a little bit on the weaker side for an offender, until you consider that he can follow up with a volley of Helix rockets. Using these in combination with your rifle fire can lead to an easy 1v1 kill, though I would say he struggles when taking on multiple foes solo, until he uses his ultimate tactical vision. You want a no-fuss idiot-proof ultimate? Think of how McCree's works except with no lock-on time. That's right, all you have to do is shoot. The game will aim for you, they just gotta be in your line of sight. I can't count how many times the play of the game was a soldier cleaning up shop with this ability, so even though I'd say his primary weapon is a little bit on the weaker side, that's really his only knock. D.Va was the first tank hero I played, and I was actually ready to dump on her at first. That was until I realized I was trying to play her as an offensive character. Once you understand her strength as being a mobile distraction that deals damage over time, you've got an incredibly deadly hero on your hands. In fact, I actually ended my few games with her at the highest elimination to death ratio at a whopping 4.0. I'm sure that'd go down over time, but damn! Her abilities include these weak, pesky fusion cannons. They don't do a whole lot of damage unless you're in close, but you can utilize her boosters to fly around at varying ranges to make more effective use of them. If you find yourself in a tight spot between all of that, you can make use of the defensive matrix to stop incoming damage for a short time. And if you find yourself in a really tight spot, you can use your ultimate to self-destruct your mech, dealing insane damage. The craziest part of this whole thing is the mech is only your first line of defense. You actually get to live on after that as a chicken side, but she's kind of useless. In fact, I would argue this character might be better off dying in the mech, because the time spent waiting for your mech to come back could be spent more efficiently by respawning a few seconds later and getting back into the fight. But hey, maybe some of you are better with that chick's auto pistol than I am. If you are, you can make the argument that D.Va deserves consideration for the #1 spot. Do any of you remember RC cars, noob tubes, C4 throwing, claymores, and martyrdom from the Call of Duty series? Imagine all of that perfected and packed into one crazy little character. Yeah, that's Junkrat. Not only does he have a grenade launcher, but you can bounce the grenades on the ground, off walls, in their face, wherever the hell you want. When you're not making it rain grenades, you can set up bear traps on the ground, mixing in concussion mines that you can use mid-combat for a quick and easy kill. After inspiring enough mayhem to get your ultimate, you can unleash a remote-controlled tire that will explode on command and obliterate anyone in a very wide range of it. Then if you die, you can take an unsuspecting player off guard with one last explosion. Junkrat is an absolutely perfect defensive hero, and even though his traps don't shine as brightly in offensive situations, they can still be used if you're clever enough. If you want a hero that feels like an incredible mix of defense and offense, then Junkrat is the hero for you. Surprise, some motherfucking prize. The poster child of all the marketing for the game is also one of the best heroes. Really though, it's almost indescribably fun zipping around the map with this little speedster. Something about the way you can zip, zoom, wreak havoc, and then warp back in time to restore your health is a freaking blast. That's right, let's kick off the discussion with Recall. This little ability allows you to travel 3 seconds back in time, but not only do you travel back to your location, your health returns to what it was 3 seconds ago. If played right, you can turn this mini-speed demon into a kamikaze, time-traveling,
force of nature, health restoring, goggle wearing, auto pistol firing, tight pant wearing, quick reloading, high damage outputting, breaking speed ready to use both to beat the Olympics.
You get the idea, she's fast. That aside, she deals good damage and is ridiculously hard to track and hit thanks to her speed. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but I was able to go from 5 eliminations and 9 deaths in my first game to 31 eliminations and 10 deaths in my second. Despite the complexity of the toolkit, it's surprisingly easy to pick up and play well. The only very minor complaint I have is that the range of her ultimate is underwhelming. Unless you actually stick this to an opponent, I didn't have much luck doing anything with it. But that aside, the Tracer is not only arguably one of the best heroes in the game, she just might be the most fun to play. But even though there's only a point of difference between them, there is no doubt in my mind that the Reaper is the strongest offensive hero in the game. His moveset is almost godlike in terms of synergy. For starters, your weapons are 2 shotguns that alternate fire. This allows for high clip capacity and substantial damage at close range. Then there's the Shadow Step. This move allows you to teleport to any location in sight. That means quick maneuverability to get back out of spawn and a way to quickly exit out of a fight. But you probably won't need it for that, since Wraith Form allows you to become invincible for a few seconds while gaining a speed boost. While this is a nice saving grace, it can also be used to get yourself in a position for an assault that would otherwise be impossible to reach. At that point, you can unleash the best damage ultimate in the game, the Death Blossom. This ability is like a tornado of bullets with absurdly high damage. I don't care if you're a tank, if you get caught near this move, you are dead. The only way to stop it is to kill him or stun him, but without a well-coordinated team, good luck pulling it off. To top it all off, enemies that are slain drop orbs that replenish this health, so you can keep on trucking and unleashing hell upon the opposite team. These abilities just work so well together. The ability to teleport in from a distance, turn on invincibility to put yourself in a favorable position, execute as many enemies as possible with Death Blossom, go back to Wraith Form, then get the advantage on whoever's left is mind-blowingly awesome and an absolute thrill to pull off. The only negative I could say about the Reaper is that the shotgun damage might be slightly low for the fire rate and range, but if it was any higher, nobody would bother with the other offensive heroes. So if you're an offensive-minded gamer looking for high damage thrills, ease of play, and a perfectly synergized toolkit, the Reaper is definitely the hero for you. But if you want to talk about the perfect hero in terms of fun, being useful in any situation, completely surpassing expectations for their role, and the ideal kit of tools, I don't think I could give it to anyone other than Lucio. From the very start of the game, you can offer a speed boost to your entire team. You can even boost that boost with the Amp It Up ability. By the time you're meeting the opposing team, easily swap over to healing and keep everyone's health moving up. Part of what makes this so great is how simple it is to use. You literally just have to be near your allies for them to receive the buff, and the range is quite wide. I love how it gives you a number on the screen to help you know how many players you're buffing as well. And this buff is constantly active. You get a decent damage weapon to shoot for a support, awesome maneuverability, and even the ability to knock back foes who get a little too close for comfort, which eliminates much of the concern of being singled out as a support. But really, you'll probably never find yourself alone because how easy it feels to keep with your team buffing them the whole way. Then in a clutch moment, you can turn up the volume to give your team a blast of armor. Maybe the only critique would be that this buff could last a little bit longer, but Lucio is already so damn strong as it is. For all the characters in Overwatch that take practice, focus, and endurance to get good with, I felt like I was already a Lucio master in my first game. It felt extremely natural in terms of playstyle, and that's what defines Overwatch best for me, how naturally it handles. And I think Lucio exemplifies that mentality perfectly. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed ranking the heroes of Overwatch with me. This is a heavily debatable subject, so I look forward to hearing what your favorite heroes are in the comments. And if you like this style of video, be sure to subscribe for more great gaming rankings, top 10s, and reviews. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.